Hello and welcome to the Dark Mount video review for Takara Tomy, Transformers Generations TG31 Rhinox. Rhinox is the US release, or the Japanese version of the US release. As you can see, he has a more brownish gold color, which is the reason that I got him instead of the US release. He's a lot more accurate to the show color. And I think the US might have been going for toy accuracy, but I'm not entirely positive on that. Either way, the paint on the guns on this guy really sold me. The American release is just plain unpainted plastic, so that, strangely enough, was my reasoning for buying this. I think I might have lucked out, because a lot of the people who have the US release complain about some hip joint issues when he's in robot mode, and I have not experienced any of those. So it's possible that this mold actually corrected that somehow, or whatever happened during manufacturing didn't happen here. I'm not entirely positive. So in his beast mode, Rhinox is obviously a giant brown gold rhinoceros. His paint has kind of a metallic sheen to it, which surprisingly enough kind of reminds me of some of the Beast Wars Neo figures and the way that their plastic was. It's sturdy, but flexible. And if you notice, his mouth is closed. He doesn't have that split jaw problem that a lot of people with the American release are also having. There is a joint. Maybe it's this one. There's a joint somewhere in here, I'll point it out in transformation, that I think maybe possibly some people aren't bending to its full capacity, because I was able to replicate the look of the issue that people are having with the jaw, with the weird, like, split thing going on, but there's definitely a workaround for that. He doesn't really have much articulation to speak of. You can kind of move the front legs a little bit, but he's a rhino, and his big rhino hooves are kind of in one position, so you're not going to be getting much posing out of him. Beast Wars, for the most part. Beast Wars animal forms usually weren't super poseable in terms of having them actually be able to stand properly, so... These, and this entire back section are a soft plastic. Although they don't, I mean, again, I don't have the US version, so I can't say this for sure. They don't look as bendy as they looked in other reviews of the US version that I've watched. I mean, there were people who were literally, like, folding this thing in half, and it bends a little bit. It's definitely soft plastic, but it's not, like, floppy soft plastic, so... This might be a different kind of rubbery plastic than what they're using in the US release too. I do not have a US version to compare that to, however. For beast mode size comparison, I'm going to go ahead and throw him next to his old counterpart. This is the Fox Kids repaint of Rhinox, I believe. So he's definitely a lot bigger. He's definitely looks a lot more like an actual rhinoceros instead of a weird, flat armadillo monster thing. So, huge improvement there, although this guy's going to go with my Generations figures anyway. Wrong Rhinox. And here he is next to our next review, Generations Waspinator. Also Takara Tomy. To transform Rhinox, there's a couple things you want to kind of untab first. You want to come back here and untab his whole butt plate. and that tabs in both up here and on the sides back here. Once you're done that, you want to kind of lift these up a little bit and untab those. Once you're done that, you can get this out of the way and actually take these entire pieces right here and fold them out. They are on hinges. And pull these little feet out. And this will wrap around the leg, like so. Repeat on the other side. Don't forget to pull the foot out before you close that up. Alright. Then, what you are going to want to do is come in here, and these pieces are also on kind of swivel hinges, so pull those out. And you want to grab this whole side thing and kind of accordion it backwards like this. And do the same thing on the other side. And that will free the weapons. Once you have them like that, you can move the arms just to get them out of your way. And you want to take this entire piece, grab the mouth, separate this entire thing. Now here is what I was talking about before. This joint right here, if you do not rotate it all the way back, it has a stopping point right here, then you get that kind of weird not closed jaw thing that a lot of people are having that kind of makes him look a little strange. The problem, if I can light this properly, well, I'm not sure if you can see it clearly, but there is a small notch both right here and right there. And there are two little nubs here and there. And you want to continue to push this until you get a click. And you do kind of have to push it pretty hard. Once you do that, there is a tab up in the top of the Rhino part that tabs into here. And then when you close the mouth's closed. So I'm not sure if that's a problem with the American release not going back far enough or something, or if people are just not, I don't want to say stressing because that sounds bad, but if they're not applying enough pressure to this joint to actually click it into position, then that would definitely create some weirdness. So separate that entire thing. You want to use that joint we just talked about to collapse this whole piece inwards. And you want to get this out of your way enough to rotate the entire pelvis portion out. And then spin it around. Like that. And you want to continue folding this all the way down until it clicks in. And then fold this part down, fold this down. You want to collapse these inwards And then this entire part tilts like that. You can lock those into the chest. They don't tab in, but they do sit very securely. And you can come back here, fold the Rhino butt up, and fold the back of the Rhino up to cover it up. The arms are relatively simple. Just want to fold this out and then pull the hands out. And then they will fold down and lock around the two parts that come from behind. There is a little bit of a sliding gimmick here that hides the green portions when he's in beast mode, but you don't really have to do anything with it because gravity takes care of that for you. And there you have Takara Tomy, Generations Rhinox. Whoop. Of course, when I actually do the review, I start having issues with him standing. I was messing around with this guy for like 2 hours last night and I didn't have any problems. Well, that's one mystery solved. Weird. Well, perhaps it is my review surface versus my desk. Let me see. It's definitely not any better. It helps, apparently, if you rotate his legs a little bit. Because now he seems to be pretty steady. Yeah, so apparently you just need to rotate his legs. Mobby. Rhinox comes with 2 guns that mount like this underneath him. Straighten those out and pull them apart. And you get 2 spinning weapons. Now, as you can see, the insides of them are painted green, black, and silver, versus the American releases, which only have the silver up here and everything inside is pretty much just like gray, weird, unpainted, gross plastic. So, as you can see, they spin pretty well. I mean, they don't spin super long after you press the button. One of mine spins much longer, probably due to gravity. That would make sense. It's definitely not designed for human hands to hold. No, this one just stopped spinning faster, so there's variance. So he will hold these weapons, and I also suspect that some of his balance issues might be due to the fact that he is balanced to have giant Gatling guns. Can't really see the green. So for size comparisons, here he is next to the original Beast Wars Fox Kids repaint of the Rhinox mold. who's a little duck-footed right now. So, again, huge improvement. This figure's not perfect, but he's probably the closest to perfect we're ever going to get for Rhinox, because he's pretty awesome. I used to love this guy as a kid, but even through the lens of nostalgia, this guy kind of makes him look like poop. He's kind of looks like dumpy and blah looking, and this guy's all like hulky and mean looking, and I don't know. He's a little bit too lanky in that area, but that's fine. Oh. Here he is next to Scoop. So, I thought Beast Wars Transformers were supposed to be smaller than normal Cybertronians. What happened there? Here he is next to Whirl. Night night. Whirl wanted to take a nap. For articulation, you have full rotation here and inward and outward movement there. Technically, if you want to disconnect this, you can also move the shoulder up, but that unlocks this piece right here. You have swivel above the elbow. You have bend from here to there. That's it. And there is, surprisingly enough, no hand articulation. There is no good waist articulation, since this thing gets in the way. And the pivot is actually on an angle. So you can't really do very much with it, but it is technically there. You have swivel, inward-outward movement. Get, I don't know, a little over 90 degrees. Can go back, sans kibble. You have pretty decent range of articulation in the knee, which is surprising since this is a giant animal shell. And you get some ankle tilt, so he's a good figure. Ankle tilt. And toe articulation. He also has a relatively expressive ball joint for his head. His face sculpt is pretty awesome. That's a pretty awesome Rhinox. I'm pretty sure the paint on this is a little bit better than the US release too, in terms of the crest and stuff being painted. I don't know if the US release has the maximal symbols. Focus! Come on! One thing I will say is that these feel as though they are getting looser the more I play with this figure, which concerns me. But, hip hip hurrah, that is easily remedied since they are open and accessible joints. All in all, I could not be more happy with this figure. I'm a huge Beast Wars fan. I grew up on that show. I collected those toys. I loved Rhinox. He was one of my favorite characters in the... I mean, it wasn't a huge cast, but he was one of my favorite characters in the entire show from first to last season. This toy, I think, does the character justice. In the show, he had a little bit more of a like rhino kilt kind of going around back here, so it makes him look a little more slender than he was necessarily, but this is a Generations figure, so it's an update. We don't necessarily need like CGI kibble. I am very happy I went with the Takara release, mostly just because I think it looks a lot more show accurate, and if I'm going to go with Beast Wars characters, I'm going to go show accuracy. That's why I got the Japanese Telemoka Waspinator, because he's just so much better in terms of show accuracy. Plus these guns just look so much better. They look so much better with the paint in there. So, do I recommend this guy? Absolutely. If you are a fan of Beast Wars, or you like Rhinox, or if you just like Transformers in general, you should have this. If you don't have this already, you should be actively trying to acquire it. I would suggest getting the Takara Tomy version, but the mold is really good regardless, so I'm pretty sure you can't really go wrong here. Reasons not to get this? If the money is like the difference between you eating and not eating, then like, yeah, eat food, but otherwise get this. What are you doing? Stop watching this and go.